Hey there guys, so this video is going to be me going over the odd numbers from your dividing polynomials homework in case you needed kind of some extra help getting started. So for our first problem, we're asked to divide this polynomial by x plus 1. Well, if we follow our steps from our notes, I know my first step is to draw my 2 by 2 box. My next step is to write the binomial they give me, that x plus 1, on the left side of my box. Third step will be to fill in the terms I do know. So I know my first and last term never change within my box method because there's nothing that ever combine like terms with them. So this will stay as x squared and this will stay as the positive 2. As a reminder, my first term will always be the number with the x squared and my last term is always the constant without a variable. Now the middle term is the one that's going to change depending on how these combine like terms. But now that I have all this set up, I can begin solving it. So the first question I ask, okay, what times x gives me x squared? Well, hopefully at this point, you remember that x times x will always give you x squared. So we have our first term of the missing binomial. Now next, we're going to say, okay, down here, 2 times what gives you 2? Or my bad, 1 times what gives you 2? Well, I know 1 times positive 2 gives you 2. So technically I've solved it. This is my answer, but I would like to check my answer. So you can check your answers by filling in the box. So let's see. X times 1 is x, or we can just write 1x. 2 times x is 2x. If I combine these like terms, that will give me 3x. Well, notice I have a 3x here. And notice I still have my x squared and my positive 2. Therefore, since this end result from my box method matches their end results, I know my answer is correct. So I can write my answer and box it. So my answer is the binomial x plus 2. Or whatever we figure out at the top. We're just finding our missing binomials. So now if I'm looking at example 3, well, we're going to solve it similarly. Our first step is going to be drawing that 2 by 2 box. And I would suggest drawing it large enough that you have enough space to write inside it. Our second step is writing the binomial they give us on the left, so that x minus 3. Third step is to fill in our first and last term from the polynomial they give us, so the x squared and the plus 6. Next, from here, we're just working backwards. X times what gives you x squared? Well, we know x times x gives us x squared. Negative 3 times what will give you that positive 6? Well, I know negative times negative is positive, so I know this has to be negative. And I know 3 times 2 is 6, so I know this has to be a negative 2. 3 times negative 2 is positive 6. Now, technically, once again, this is my answer, but I would like to check my answer before I move on. So, here we go. What I'm going to do now is fill it in. So 3 times negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. If I combine my like terms, negative 3 minus 2x gives me negative 5x, which notice is the middle term here. And notice I have my x squared here and my plus 6. So since my end results from the box method matches their end results, I know I'm correct. So I know I can write my answer and box it, x minus 2, or the binomial x minus 2. So I'll box that, circle that, highlight it, however you want to represent your answer. So hopefully you're noticing it's the same thing over and over again. So now we're going to move on to number 5. So same thing, same. We're going to start by drawing our box. We're going to draw our 2 by 2 box. And then we're going to draw or write the binomial they give us, in this case 3x plus 1, right here. And then we are going to fill in my first and last term. So my 6x squared and my 3, or positive 3, and then start working backwards. So 3x times what gives you 6x squared? Well, I know 3 times 2 gives me 6, so I know my number has to be 2. And I know x times x gives me x squared. So I know 2x times 3x is 6x squared. Great. Now to find this bottom term, 1 times what gives me 3? Well, 1 times positive 3 gives me positive 3. Once again, technically this is my answer, but I would like to check my work. So let's see, 2x times 1 is 2x. 3 times 3x is 9x. If I combine like terms, that gives me 11x, which, notice, is exactly what I have here. And once again, my 6x squared is there, my positive 3 is here, my end result matches their end result, therefore I know my answer is correct. As you can see, it's very important to check your answers, because by checking your answers, you can tell whether you're right or wrong. So on this homework assignment, you should ideally be getting 100 on it, because you can check all your answers. Also, I'm giving you the answer key to this homework assignment. You still have to show your work, but you can check your answers also using the answer key. So now going on to 7, which is the last example I will do. We will look at this problem. And this is one of those where we kind of don't have 3 terms. We're kind of missing a term. We're actually missing that middle term that has the x. We have our x squared value. We have our last term that has just the number without an x, but we're missing that, 8x, 3x, 4x, 15x. That goes in the middle. But that's fine. We solve it the exact same way. So I'm still going to draw the box, except on the left, I'm going to do x minus 7. And I'm still going to write my first and last term. Now this negative 49 counts as our last term. Our last term is always going to be the number without a variable. Our first term is always going to be the number that is squared. So we can still fill this out, and we can still solve it. So working backwards, what times what gives me x squared? Well, I know x times x gives me x squared. What times negative 7 gives me negative 49? Well, I know a positive times negative is negative, so I know this has to be positive. And I know 7 times 7 is 49. But let's say you didn't know that. Let's say you didn't know 7 times 7 is 49. Don't forget you can use Desmos. So if you go to desmos.com, let's refresh and see if I can get it. There we go. What you could have done is put, okay, what 49 divided by 7. So you can also do that and kind of think of it as actual division, which gives you 7. Let's go back and redo it. There we go. So I know it's positive 7. So once again, technically I have my answer, but I would like to check it because I want to make sure I make 100 on this assignment. So x times negative 7 is negative 7x. X times positive 7 is positive 7x. Now notice here when I combine my like terms, I have negative 7 plus 7, or 7 minus 7. That cancels out. That gives me 0x. So notice that's why my middle term is missing. It actually ends up getting canceled out. So where I used to have, x squared plus 0x minus 49 is what it originally was. But we don't really add zeros because 0 times anything is 0. So technically this is a plus 0. Adding 0 doesn't change our problem, so we don't write it. So just so you guys can visualize it, that was the same thing as writing this. So your x squared minus 49 is the exact same thing as writing this, which notice we have that 0x right here. So since our end result matches their results, I know I'm correct. So therefore I know my answer is that x plus 7, or the binomial x plus 7. So do the rest of these on your own. So I did half of these. If you're still struggling, once again, feel free to sign up for tutoring. Otherwise, you can rewatch the video, rewatch the class recording, or look at your notes. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or send me a message on Remind. Otherwise, have a nice day.